How can companion planting suppress weeds?
So in terms of weed suppression, simply they just outcompete. So low-lying ground covers can just outcompete weeds. Things like we're talking about like cover crops and things like lentils are usually in there. Lentils are a very low-lying kind of cover. They'll grow very quickly. They'll vine across, and that usually chokes out any other kind of weed trying to get through. Same thing with like the nasturtiums, the squash, and other things that can like create a really good ground cover and create like a lot of shade. They're choking out those weeds, right? Really hard for weeds to get established when that's happening. But that's also like it's kind of leads into something else. Is like sure they're choking out the weeds and they're creating this really nice ground cover, but that's also then creating a really nice place for like beneficial mites and predators and other things to come in, right? So it's hard to talk about like one thing without having to talk about all of it because there's so many like benefits. But that's pretty well when it comes to suppressing weeds. You're for the most part you're just choking them out very quickly, and you have a lot of options there, right? You can do lentils and things that are also helping with like nitrogen and stuff. But you can if you want to get like a little prettier with it with ground covers, you can do like creeping thyme or phlox. Crimson clover is another one that we're usually fairly familiar with, and like lamb's ears, things like that. They create this really nice ground cover, low lying, great then, of course, for like water retention and things like that. But they're just out competing, right? Making sure that those weeds just cannot get a foothold in your garden, right?
I appreciate you mentioned a bunch of examples there. Yeah, I have a buddy here in Las Vegas. That's where I live. It's very, very hot out here. You know, it's let's see, right now it's 100 degrees out, and it often reaches 110 degrees Fahrenheit. And
Freedom units.
yeah, freedom.
What is that? 110 Fahrenheit to Canadian units.
You got to do the calculation there. I don't know what it is in Celsius.
I'm from Labrador, so yeah, so that's like yeah mid 40s, which is like I'm in New Jersey right now. I could barely handle it when it hits like mid 30s, right? I'm from Newfoundland and Labrador, which is like one of the coldest provinces. Like
A big change for you.
it is a massive change, man.
But I have a buddy that lives here who uses melon as a cover. You know what I mean? The melon,
Oh,
they grow
yeah.
so big. The leaves are just so massive that it really covers almost this entire bed, and it helps with water retention really because like soil dries out so quickly, so easily here in such high temps that having that cover over it helps tremendously. So I think I call that one out.
Yeah, and that's great because that's like we're talking about with the three sisters, right? The squash, so like squash, melons, anything that's got those large leaves that are growing over the top, right? Like they're creating that really nice like canopy there where they're holding in that moisture. The sun's not able to get down and penetrate. It's keeping the soil from becoming like hydrophobic and yeah, and then of course if you start to compare it with like beans and peas and other things, now we're pumping nitrogen and other things back down into the soil. It's yeah. I see. I get like this is one of those topics where there's so many like benefits that it's hard to just be like yeah let's just talk about this one thing because it's you're creating such an amazing ecosystem that feeds the soil, feeds the plants, feeds the air, and they all protect each other and they work off each other and it's just yeah it's something that it's always been pretty exciting for me. I got inspired from uh, Niagara Homegrown, CB Tree, and Nikita Green Thumb. They were accounts that were either doing like big, beautiful gardens outdoors that were just like lush from one end of their backyard to another, or in like Niagara Homegrown's case, he had 100-gallon pot in his basement with living soil, and he would switch out his electric lettuce throughout his time, but there was always like nasturtiums and peppers and beans and peas and things hanging off the side, and that's kind of what got me into it. And now I can't help but grow like that. Like first time I ever did it with 7-gallon pots, 4 7-gallon pots in a little 2.5 square tent indoors. I grew thyme, dill, chamomile, nasturtiums, and a few others. That was the easiest grow I have ever had. I used less nutrients, less water. The terpene production on everything was through the roof, and just the visuals and just opening it up, just opening up that tent, and that rich botanical smell would come through. Everybody was happy, healthy, pest free. It was the easiest grow I've ever done. And that's I try to incorporate that now into everything that I do, and it pays off in droves for me.
This clip is brought to you by AC Infinity. Use discount code MrGrow at 15 to save on any of their products.